Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by our number one news provider, Eswatini TV. I am Nondumiso Vilagati alongside Nomagcabiso Nkambule, and here are your top stories. The Prime Minister has returned to the country after representing His Majesty King Eswatini III. Acting Prime Minister says people should avoid going to places where their lives may be in harm's way and need medical attention. The news. The Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini has returned to the country after representing His Majesty King Mswati III at the 10th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States in Angola, as well as the United States of America Africa Leaders Summit in Washington. Upon his return at King Mswati III International Airport, the Prime Minister said amongst different agreements signed in the meetings, there was also an opportunity of support for local small-medium enterprises.
The Prime Minister details some of the outcomes of the meetings.
The African Development Bank Group President, Akiwumi Adesina, told the delegates that the group had just completed its 16th replenishment of the AFDB, African Development Bank Fund, mobilizing of about 8.9 billion to alleviate some challenges that were adversely affecting Africa, in particular the low-income countries. He mentioned that the fund was the highest in the group's 50-year history. Under the USA Africa Leaders Summit program, there were meetings scheduled under a variety of items, including the African Growth Opportunity, AGOA, partnering for sustainable health cooperation and health societies, climate adaptation and a just energy transition, promoting food security, food systems resilience. During the course of the conferences, we had a side meeting with Travis Adkins, CEO of the United States African Development Foundation. In the meeting, various matters of mutual interest were discussed. Opportunities in agriculture, energy, different types of skills and development, including vocational, were discussed. A particular focus was placed on developing skills relevant to domestic SMEs to ensure relevance of skills to job market and retain a high absorption rate of trained personnel. The gentleman will be visiting Southern Africa in the first quarter of 2023, and he will be paying us a courtesy call.
Prime Minister says Eswatini will implement the decisions taken during the meetings. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Skhupe.
The acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku says people should avoid going to places where their lives may be in harm's way and need medical attention. Masuku says people should stay safe, and he said this during a press conference.
Acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku seems to be preaching the gospel of prevention is better than cure. This is particularly in relation to people's behavior, so to avoid finding themselves needing medical care.
Bantu abasukuya etindzaweni letitababangela ukuthi bafune lusido etibhedlela njengokuya nje etindzaweni la kudzakwa khona uhlala udzakwa kushaye 1 bathi bangakushanga esitini lapha bese ufuna kuya ufuna ambulance kanti kubuthi sethe lento yakho nabuya itsanza uhlale naye ekhaya ukhulumise khona.
Masuku says government will play its part.
Fuel utabe yakhona. Security forces atabe akhona kuciza imigwaqo kuciza konke lokufanele kude lokutawuhlukumeta eMaswati ngoba atabe agatsiwe avikelekile yesathu ngiphi ngemuthi kude imfihlo ukuthi ngihlangene neThukoso sitaphinze sihlangane nje ngoba bengibhizi ngalesine sitaphinze sihlangane sitokuvathakala.
Festive holidays are usually accompanied by road accidents and violent clashes of people due to abuse of alcohol. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela, Mbabane.
The Minister of Finance, Neil Ruikenberg, urges the cut, make and trim industries to consult with the Eswatini Revenue Service on what tax obligations they still need to fulfill after the amendment of the value-added tax of 2011. The minister clarifies that the amended act does not exempt these industries from paying other taxes.
We decided to approve the zero rating. I think what the outcry now is, we have said that a lot of these companies have outstanding tax liabilities. A lot of the tax liability based on old VAT regimes. So obviously they need to go to ERS. ERS will look at their outstanding tax, but the outstanding tax might not all be from VAT regimes. It might be from other elements. So to now say, let's write off all the outstanding tax would also not be right, because we are not sure what's in these. There's also accusations that some of them might have used the deferment account at the border, but actually claimed VAT from the taxman. So when they do take the outstanding tax to ERS, there'll be proper analysis, they'll have a good look at it. We're very confident that if the behavior was not a bad behavior, that they'll be able to find relief, is what we are being told. But at the same time, one needs to go through everybody's outstanding tax to see exactly what is outstanding, if there is any other tax outstanding that should be paid at today.
3 schools have shared different prices and money to the value of 17,000 Malangeni in the UNESCO Education for Sustainable Development competition. Speaking during the event held at a Happy Valley, Eswatini, the Minister of Education, Lady Howard, says the competition allows learners to share their ideas of what could contribute to sustainable education.
Mochane Primary School took the first position under the whole school approach category. St. Mark's High School came in second under the youth participation category. The third position went to UTech under the community engagement category. Minister of Education Lady Howard says the ministry will continue to support such projects.
The Ministry of Education and Training reaffirms its support to the ESD Prize as this initiative works towards achieving the SDGs and the 2030 Education Global Agenda. This will indeed increase the capacities of educators to effectively deliver ESD. Educators remain key actors in facilitating learners' transition to sustainable ways of life in an age where information is available everywhere. ASPNet is a global network of schools whose main objective is to promote quality education in pursuit of peace and sustainable development. I'm very grateful that 74 Eswatini schools are participating in this global network of schools of more than 11,700 in 182 countries across the globe. These schools are committed to high-quality education service delivery through global citizenship education, sustainable development, intercultural exchange, among other projects.
The minister expressed appreciation to Eswatini National Commission for UNESCO for the effective coordination of the project. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla with Themba Shabangu, Ezulwini.
The Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Princess Melania, commends the municipality of Manzini for working hard in developing the town's infrastructure. The minister was speaking during the official launch of the Bosco Manzini Bridge.
The Bosco Bridge that connects Manzini and Gwanepark area construction cost is 56 million emalangeni, and this includes the 3 roads and the bridge project. The Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Prince Simelane, says the bridge will shorten the route, especially for eMaswati who travels as far as Hlangano.
Sitobonga, sitothumisa, sitobabata kuye masipala wakamanzini ngalobu mengemenge belibloho.
The Manzini Municipality Council Mayor Mxolisi Mabuza says the completion and opening of the new bridge will provide a much-needed relief for citizens as they will have multiple options to access and exit the city center.
It is because of such support that the city continues to experience rapid development. Honorable Minister, with these remarks, I would like to welcome you and all the stakeholders present to the vibrant city of Manzini.
The regional administrator, Chief Gija, says this project proves that Manzini is indeed a vibrant city.
Manzini is a vibrant city. Now Manzini region is a vibrant region.
The Manzini Municipal Council CEO Lungile Dlamini says they have learned that great cities develop and thrive through public-private partnership PPPs. Dlamini says when the World Bank-funded Swaziland Local Government Project program came to an end, the municipality took a decision to explore the PPP's concept in as far as road infrastructure development is concerned. For Eswatini TV News Ndomlangeni, Themba Shabangu, Manzini.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture says climate change continues to be a threat in production of sufficient food for the nation. Simelane was speaking during an awareness meeting with relevant stakeholders in the agricultural sector held in Manzini.
The Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with its partners, facilitated a climate change awareness meeting in the agricultural sector. Addressing the meeting, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Sydney Simelane, says issues of climate change affect food security. Simelane says all stakeholders need to work together in disseminating information on how to mitigate these issues.
Sinale challenge ukuthi kasakhoni ke manje ukuthi we can meet the requirements ethu food security. Lokuhlangana kwethu ke la ngicabanga ukuthi kukahle kakhulu kusiniketa le opportunity ukuthi siya realize ukuthi we cannot keep working in silos sisikuloyo ndutati bonela ukuthi wendani. We have come to a conclusion ukuthi nyalo sesifika la sithi asisukume sibambisane sibone ukuthi singenda njani as a country, and we've gone a step further. Ngila sithi khona no, let us come out with a coordinating mechanism letawuhlanganisa onke lama activities that related to climate change.
Simelane has urged organizations to work together and avoid duplication of programs and production. For Eswatini TV News Ndomlangeni, pictures from the Ministry of Agriculture.
Deputy Senate President Ndumiso Mdluli says Parliament is the heart of the Kingdom of Eswatini and it should be prayed for regularly. Mdluli says it is for this reason that Parliament has held an end-of-year prayer where different pastors were invited. The church service was held earlier today.
Lenkonzo le khona namhla lapha eParliament inkonzo lemqoka kakhulu, inkonzo lapho sijuba khona umnyaka tiba khona yebo inkonzo.
This is a very important prayer service. It is a service in which we mark the end of the year. We usually have such services on Mondays, but today we saw it proper to have one before the end of the year. This is because we have to pray for Parliament for it to function properly. If it functions properly, the whole country will follow suit. We have pastors who will lead us in prayer.
It will come as good news to some drivers that government has announced a fuel price decrease. The Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy, through a statement issued by Principal Secretary Dorcas Dlamini, says the fuel drop will come into effect at midnight on Thursday. Dlamini says diesel will drop by 2 emalangeni per litre and cost 22 emalangeni 40 cents per litre. Illuminating paraffin will also drop by 2 emalangeni per litre and will cost 16 emalangeni 45 cents per litre. Petrol will drop by 1 dilangeni 50 cents per litre and cost 19 emalangeni 50 cents per litre. The ministry says the public is encouraged to use fuel efficiently as the international oil markets and dilangeni dollar exchange rate remain highly volatile. The Gender Links Conference on Gender-Based Violence ended on a high note as some women received seed capital for their businesses. According to Lesotho Gender Links CEO Mantebo Heleng Mabeta says Eswatini women were empowered on entrepreneurship skills in order for them to be independent. Mabeta was speaking during an award ceremony held at Hasbain Lodge.
The gender-based violence survivors were selected through different municipalities in the country. The week-long conference provided the women with skills. Some women got a chance to pitch their businesses and they were awarded with seed capital. The Lesotho Gender Link CEO, Heleng Mabeta, says women were empowered in such a way that they are able to sustain themselves.
In creating these programs, we want to achieve two things for these women. We want to build their agency and also we want to build their independence in order for them to be able to decide to walk out of abusive relationships.
Cyril Gunene, the Malkans mayor, says the time has come for women to acquire skills.
Kulekelela ukuthi bantu lababomama bakhona ukuthi bangede basalele emuva ukonke lokwentiwako even balibambise kanti batithuthukisa nanabo bayakhona ukuphilisa bayakhona ukusimanisa imindeni yabo.
The beneficiaries stated that their lives have changed after being empowered.
It means a lot to me. It is an affirmation ukuthi ngihamba on the right track in the work that I'm doing.
Sibonga kakhulu baphathi esebenzana nawo kufaka ekhathi emaphoyisa, kufaka ekhathi social welfare, kufaka ekhathi swaga, young heroes, kufaka ekhathi na 1 billion rising.
Ibaningi kakhulu baphathi bethu la sita ukuthi sehlise ukuhlukumezeka ngetebulili silidolobha lasezulwini.
The local municipalities were also awarded for ensuring that victims of gender-based violence were provided with the necessary assistance. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni Samgelsiwe Khoza, Matapa.
Dear viewers, now take a look at our financial updates.
Can be.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV, and for your sports news tonight, CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe has urged the entire continent, especially African leaders, to invest in African football and expect positive results, just like the case of Morocco, who invested years ago in football, and the results were evident in the recent Qatar World Cup when they finished fourth in the tournament to become the first African nation to achieve that. Motsepe was speaking during a media briefing in the Republic of South Africa, Johannesburg.
Following the conclusion of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, with the first ever nation from Africa being Morocco, making it into the semi-finals of the World Cup, CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe has applauded Morocco by encouraging the rest of the 53 African nations to invest in football if they are to see results like Morocco.
And of course our infrastructure, and particularly facilities and youth academies, schools, football, I talk about that, but the infrastructure in Africa is not what it is in other parts of the world, and we're making good progress, and I'll talk about that. But also, we shouldn't underestimate the importance of finance. So I'm confident that at the next World Cup, our aim is to, with Morocco has made all of us proud, and all of the other four made us proud, is to go further. And the main objective is indeed an African nation will indeed win the World Cup.
2026 World Cup will be staged in the US, Canada and Mexico. Dr. Motsepe is confident that the continent can pull another miracle, with now the number of African countries to the World Cup going to be increased. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, pictures sourced from the CAF website.
National top boxer Thabiso Dlamini has entered his second month while training in Russia ahead of the 2024 Olympic Games to be staged in Russia. Dlamini is now hitting the ground running as he trains with the Russian national team.
Top boxer Thabiso Dlamini has entered his second month of his training session in Russia, preparing for the 2024 Olympic Games in France. Dlamini is now sharing the same stage as Russian boxers' national team. Dlamini says there has been an improvement from his game as he is now training with some of the best boxers in the world. He is confident that by the time the games begin in France, he will be ready to take the stage. The games will begin on the 26th of July to the 11th of August in Paris, France in 2024. For Eswatini TV Sports, Sobisum Sunera, pictures sourced from the team in Russia.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, we'll take a quick recap of today's headlines. The Prime Minister has returned to the country after representing His Majesty King Eswatini III. Acting Prime Minister says people should avoid going to places where their lives may be in harm's way and need medical attention. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.
This Christmas at Spar, we're all about giving you a reason to smile. That's why we have granted thousands of people their Christmas wishes